There are games that test your patience, and then there is Ninja Gaiden Black, a title whispered among action game fans as both a masterpiece and a menace. After playing Ninja Gaiden 2 Black months ago, I felt that spark again, that pulse of violent precision, patience, and decision-making that punishes the player. The very fundamentals that define the series. Then came Ninja Gaiden 4, a game that hit the spot with its new character Yakumo and high-tension combat, but disappointed me with its Ryu Hayabusa gameplay and lack of level design variety. Then I couldn't stop my Ninja Gaiden hunger, so I went for Ragebound. It was fine, not terrible, not great, just another entry that failed to leave a scar. At that point, I started wondering if maybe I just didn't like Ninja Gaiden anymore, or maybe I'd been approaching it the wrong way. So I began digging deeper. Everywhere I looked, Ninja Gaiden perfectionists were glazing over the first title, the same one I once despised, and yet something in me wanted to give it another chance, to see if I could finally understand why it's called the true peak. So I went backwards, back to Vigoor Empire, back to Ryu Hayabusa, back to the Dark Dragon Blade, back to pain. Last time I touched Ninja Gaiden Sigma, I regretted instantly. It was a disaster, a frustrating experience disguised as a remaster. And while Ninja Gaiden Black is undeniably the better experience, that same mix of brilliance and brutality still bleeds through. I'm Arcadenaut here, and today I'm here with another I played it so you don't have to video. And this time, one of the most infamous action games ever made will be my guest. Released in 2005, Ninja Gaiden Black is Tomonobu Itagaki's definitive vision of action game cruelty. It wasn't just meant to entertain, but it was designed to forge you into mastery. The first Ninja Gaiden is crafted this way, made purposely challenging and frustrating for many. Every encounter is a duel, every mistake is a scar, as Itagaki believed games should respect players by refusing to cuddle them. Compared to many action games today, Ninja Gaiden Black feels still different, as it purposely denies you the chance to adapt before throwing you into the heart of the action. Between ninjas, demons, fiends, mercenaries, there are basically no pop-ups, no pity, no checkpoints to hold your hand. You get to see how Ryu Hayabusa becomes a super ninja, slashing across tons of deadly enemies through swift cuts. Ninja Gaiden Black is a baptism by fire, and it never apologized for it. I'm still in a huge conflict here, and I strongly dislike this skill issue and get good mentality here. And to be honest, I totally understand anyone who hates Ninja Gaiden Black or Sigma. The reasons are many. From its chaotic camera to bosses that feel more like chores than challenge, from lack of shop access for supply restock, to some levels being complete labyrinth of frustration. Ninja Gaiden Black is a rough diamond that cuts you whenever you try to hold it. However, I also appreciate what it tries to achieve, what it tries to present. You are basically a super ninja, fighting against demons, armies, 2 tanks and a helicopter with your strong bow and explosive arrows, trying to prevent this evil dark dragon from rising. I get that. I get why Ryu Hayabusa can get instantly killed against these menaces. But what Ninja Gaiden Black fails to achieve is to give an honest opportunity to people who wants to be a super ninja. And it's not about the lack of tutorial or difficulty choices or this skill issue. It is how the first Ninja Gaiden designed to be. To be honest, that's also what makes Ninja Gaiden Black Also so fascinating. Clearly, all of this frustration and all of these discussions could have been solved and improved with some minor tweaks to quality of life elements, giving choice to the players for any kind of modern choices to make their experience challenging, but not frustrating. Itagaki's design philosophy doesn't exist anymore, a structure that reflects obsession with discipline through suffering. And that's exactly where Ninja Gaiden Sigma stumbled. On paper, Sigma was supposed to refine Itagaki's vision, right? Clear visuals, new playable character, smoother performance, but in trying to modernize the brutality, it ended up missing the point what was needed after all. What's supposed to make peace with the players through Ninja Gaiden Sigma, it felt like the game's rhythm, that terrifying balance between chaos and precision, felt tempered with. Rachel's new missions meant to expand the story, but they came off more as an interruptions than insights. Sigma never solved the issues of Ninja Gaiden Black, but in addition, it also failed to appeal to hardcore Ninja Gaiden fans with what it presented. Yet, despite everything, Ninja Gaiden Black presents a consistent and tonally unified story. It doesn't talk much, but it at least tries to show everything. The story begins with the destruction of the Hayabusa village and the theft of the Dark Dragon Blade, a cursed relic set to awaken unimaginable evil. That premise alone sounds straightforward, almost cliché, but Ninja Gaiden Black uses it as a vessel for something more primal. That is obsession, vengeance, and purification through struggle. Ryu's motivation isn't layered in melodrama. It is pure instinct, a warrior's duty wrapped in rage. And Ninja Gaiden's structure reinforces that. Each chapter is a stage in Ryu's descent into darkness, both literally and spiritually. The further Ryu descends into Vigoor Empire, the more his mission begins to resemble a pilgrimage through hell. Ryu's home village, the Hayabusa stronghold, is attacked by samurai and ninjas under Doku's command, with the Dark Dragon Blade, a relic said to contain an ancient fiend's soul, is stolen. So Ryu sets out from the burning ruins of his home and infiltrates the Holy Vigoor Empire, a nation soon to be surrounded by fiends and the influence of the Dark Dragon. The early chapters act as a tutorial in cruelty as Ryu completes his training against his uncle Murai, fights through the demons in Hayabusa village, fights through the airship, the monastery, and the streets of Tyrone. However, before digging further into Ryu's journey in Tyrone and his encounter with Rachel, I want to mention one of Ryu's most personal losses. That also shapes Ryu's character development and his relationship with Sayori in Ninja Gaiden 4. Kureha, Ryu's childhood friend and the priestess of the Eye of the Dragon, is murdered before his eyes by Doku. Yet, Ninja Gaiden Black treats her death as more of a narrative checkpoint than a tragedy. Doku murders her without hesitation, and Ryu's response is stoic vengeance, and we never see that pain truly explode. No reflection, no quiet reckoning, just a sharpening of resolve. It is strange and such a missed opportunity since Kureha's role is meant to be the emotional core of this journey, the last piece of Ryu's humanity before he descends into full, silent fury. I do appreciate how Ninja Gaiden 4 tries to reference Kureha as it presents how Ryu tries to protect Sayori. However, this character development is never being developed fully. Ayane, in contrast, fills that emotional void with practicality. She is the kunoichi who guides Ryu throughout his journey, appearing in short cutscenes to deliver scrolls, hints, and warnings. She speaks but rarely connects. It's a lonely relationship built entirely on mission briefings. By the time Ryu's journey leads him deep into the heart of the Vigoor Empire, the story sheds any trace of humanity left. What began as a tale of vengeance evolves into a descent through corruption and redemption. The city of Tyrone, the monastery, the military base, and the caverns below all feel like stages of moral decay, each one dragging Ryu further from the world of man and deeper into the territory of demons. Amid this descent, Rachel enters the picture, a fiend hunter cursed by her bloodline, torn between her humanity and the monster within. She is introduced as Ryu's mirror, equally strong, equally bound by duty, yet fragile in ways he's forgotten how to be. Her mission to rescue her sister Alma actually not so trying well to give Ninja Gaiden Black its emotional heartbeat. It is often interrupted by repetition and pacing, or lack of characters communicating with each other and narrative decisions. When Alma finally appears, she is unrecognizable but offering still one of the fairest boss battles of Ninja Gaiden Black. She punishes hesitation with brutal accuracy, forcing you to learn her rhythm or die trying. Through all these struggles and battles, Alma isn't treated as a villain. She's a victim, corrupted by the same curse Rachel spends the entire game running from. You can sense the tragedy between the sisters, but the game barely lingers on it. After the fight, Rachel only gets a few lines before she's captured again, as if the story is allergic to vulnerability. The potential for emotional depth is there, but Ninja Gaiden Black refuses to slow down long enough to explore it. Doku, on the other hand, embodies the game's cruelty in its purest form. Every encounter with him feels heavy, deliberate, but still relies on your jump-heavy attack with your lunar weapon for a swift kill and be done with it. As Ryu defeats Vigoor Empire's army, Alma, Doku, and every monstrosity, he is left to face the Dark Disciple, who kept on watching Ryu through his journey in Tyrone. And at the very last moment, as an interesting, fun, but shockingly not so challenging boss encounter, we discover that everything was orchestrated by none other than Ryu's uncle Murai. The man who trained him, who taught him discipline and honor, was the one who unleashed the Vigoor Empire's curse for his own ambition. It is not the difficulty of the fight that leaves an impression here, but what it represents. Murai fights like Ryu, measured, technical, and relentless, almost as if the game forces you to battle your own reflection. But at this point, what I like about Ninja Gaiden Black shows itself. This boss fight becomes something unmistakably easy. You know, every move, every gimmick, every trap this game throws at you. You become silent, just like Ryu. You are determined to finish this game, whether satisfied or hating it. But Ninja Gaiden Black, as a strict teacher who traumatizes you, succeeds. When Murai falls and the Dark Dragon Blade finally shatters, the Empire begins to collapse. There is no victory fanfare, no cinematic triumph, just silence. The sky burns crimson as Ryu sheathes his blade and walks away, turning into a peregrine falcon flying away. It is here we learn symbolically that Ryu died at the hands of Doku back in Hayabusa village raid, and then resurrected by the same falcon spirit as a vengeful spirit, focused to destroy the Dark Dragon Blade. It is a fitting conclusion to a story built on punishment and endurance. The hero wins, but loses everything that made him human. I understand that Ryu Hayabusa is a ninja that is hyper-focused on his mission. He's stoic, he's deadly, he's a super ninja that fights against everything on his way. However, it still doesn't stop me from wanting to see more of this character, whether it be a discussion between Ayane or Ryu talking to himself about what's happening in general. And right after I finished the game and took a deep breath, I realized something. Ninja Gaiden Black doesn't need to be rebalanced. It needs to be reborn. Reborn as a remake, but not a remaster. A remake with quality of life improvements, smoother combat, and of course the difficulty choices that let people choose their own pain. But even then, part of me knows many fans would still hate it, because they don't want Ninja Gaiden Black to be fair. They want it to stay as their unapproachable Temple of Pain. For all the punishment it inflicts, Ninja Gaiden Black shines brightest when it lets its mechanics speak louder than its malice. Few action games, even today, feel this precise. Every animation, every input, every frame has intent, and Ninja Gaiden Black punishes every meaningless attack or attempt without mercy, as if it wants you to fight like a weapon refined by motion itself. What I like about Ninja Gaiden is that every attack carries weight, recovery, and consequence. Yes, there are the things that I loved about Ninja Gaiden Black, but regardless of any game or series I play, there are some stuff that I can't just forgive, ignore, and let go. Basically, I don't understand how 2 tank bosses or 2 electric worm bosses can deal more damage than the last boss, or something that is supposed to be menacing and threatening. This game direction decision just makes me lose all my patience and be done with it. Then there is the enemy AI. Mostly, they don't wait for you to act, they swarm, punish, and read hesitation like sharks smelling blood. When you finally learn their behavior through countless failures, you feel Ninja Gaiden Black clicks at that exact moment. You feel every parry, every evasion, every perfectly timed counter satisfying. However, on the other hand, Ninja Gaiden Black can easily turn into a cheese the boss with jump heavy attack experience. It turns into this so much that it makes you question if we are making everything harder than it should be on purpose, you know. Ninja Gaiden Black offers more than 7 weapons that test your reflexes against the game's cruelty head-on. Weapons like Lunar Staff that emphasizes spacing and crowd control, while Vigorian Flail, fast and ruthless, demanding near-perfect timing to maintain its tempo. The game doesn't tell you how to use these weapons, but sometimes Ayane herself tells you which weapon is effective against which enemy type. Yet, for all its moments of brilliance, Ninja Gaiden Black also exposes its age and stubbornness in equal measure. Your amusement could vanish quickly with a frustrating level design or a boss battle, or Ninja Gaiden could offer you a near-perfect action experience with you demolishing everything in your way. Plus, the camera as recurring nightmare and the issue of pacing and level design, I can't see myself declaring Ninja Gaiden Black as the peak of the series, I'm sorry. The monastery and the airship may be some good examples of tension and clarity, but stages like military base or aqueducts, they don't help you to be a Ninja Gaiden fan. Especially when the military base stage sends 2 tanks and then a helicopter boss fight. You might even feel like you are reaching the end of your patience. Here, the precision and discipline that define Ninja Gaiden Black are replaced with tedium as you awkwardly aim explosive arrows at moving targets under relentless missile fire. Then there's the infamous double electric worm fight, embodies everything wrong with difficulty for the sake of difficulty. Erratic camera movement, limited areas for movement, these are sadly not challenges but obstacles that just exhaust you. But maybe that was the intention all along. After finishing it, I realized something. Ninja Gaiden Black doesn't teach you to win, it teaches you to survive with every victory feels borrowed. It is not a game that wants to entertain you, it wants to change you. And in a way, maybe that's why it still lingers, because when you finally conquer it, you don't feel powerful. You feel hollow, relieved, yet strangely proud. Ninja Gaiden Black doesn't need a remaster with minor changes, it definitely needs a rebirth. A chance to show that discipline, pain and triumph can still coexist in one perfect balance, without any meaningless obstacles. Until then, it remains as an unapproachable experience full of frustration of pain, or as one of the truest paths to becoming a super ninja. I'm Arcadenaut and this was Ninja Gaiden Black, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Tell me, which Ninja Gaiden is your favorite and why? If there is any other title you wish me to delve further, be sure to share them by the comments below. Any humble support through Patreon and YouTube join is really appreciated, and I will see you soon in my next video.